Follow white rabbit. I'm taking potions, call me Alice. Watch me grow taller. Yeah, rabbit's watches in his pocket. Yeah, he stays late, but he leads me, so I follow. Wandering around in Wonderland, wondering how or if I'll ever get back. Wandering around in Wonderland, wondering how or if I'll ever get back.
You guys, she's been going through a lot right now. Tell her what you've been going through.
Don't play with me. Get that goddamn comb and get the busters down the middle.
Okay, so I normally will ask all clients to get treated first.
Treated for what?
Treated for heat damage.
I don't have heat damage.
So unfortunately, you guys, my sister has a bit of a potty mouth, so the remainder of this video will be a voiceover by yours truly. If you need help understanding something, just drop a comment in my comment section and I got you. So I asked my sister if she wanted a side part or a middle part, and homegirl went with the middle part per usual. Okay, so let me go ahead and get this out there because I'm not the best parter in the world. So I have to go from the nose up whenever I do middle parts just to make sure that I'm in the center of the head, because sometimes my parts are a little off. So you want to start there, and once your part is all the way correct and all the way in the center of the head, okay, we was playing right there. Okay, skip ahead. Then you want to take small sections from each side of that middle part, and each side should be at least a finger width in size. So if you put your finger underneath that piece of hair, the hair should cover the finger. If you are able to see any parts of that finger, you will need to leave out more hair. Otherwise, you'll have a track showing. Sometimes people have thin hair, so they'll have to leave out more hair or either do a lace closure just so it won't start looking kind of tacky. But my sister has thick enough hair. You just have to make sure that you're leaving out the right amount to cover each side. From here, I like to pull back all the remaining hair into a scrunchie or a rubber band, whatever you like. And I just braid down that leave out. I mean, you could use a clip, but I'm kind of more hands-on, so I just braid it down real quick and move right along. I feel like me braiding it down versus putting it into a clip or a rubber band helps me from getting like little strands of hair inside of a braid down inside of my foundation. So this kind of prevents all of that from happening. So right now what I'm doing is I'm basically going to leave out the small little baby hairs that you see right there. And then I'm going to leave out a little more extra behind that. This is not to do any type of high ponytail with this install. This is just to make it look as natural as possible once the sew-in is complete. If you see me put my finger right here, it isn't to cover the finger. This is just in case the wind blows. You know how people have sew-ins and the wind blows back and you can see their braid or their track. Hated it. So that's why I leave out that amount of hair. And you're going to do the same thing for both sides. I know it seems like tedious, but it's a lot of people on YouTube who really don't have any idea of how to do a regular natural looking sew-in. So boom, the moment you all have been waiting for, we're now starting the foundation. So for my foundation, my first braid, I take the smallest amount of hair possible. Those outside braids, you want to be the smallest because the more hair you add in as you're going around, the braids will thicken up. So yes, I braid kind of weird, but I gets the job done, honey. So this first braid, you're going to braid all the way down to the ear. You do not braid all the way around the head with the first cornrow. And yep, you guessed it, you do the same thing to the opposite side. Everything that you do on the left side, you're going to do on the right side. And honestly, the alternating sides does well for me because it helps me keep the head even. Sometimes I used to do a foundation and it would make the head, some people's skin like moves around for some reason on their scalp, and it just causes it to not be as even as you want it. Like you might have started out with a middle part, but then once you finish braiding it, it'll end up on the side. Like I have that happen to me a lot of times with lace closures. So I'm going to slow it down for you guys because I want you guys to really see the amount of hair that I'm parting outside of her leave out. It's very skinny. You just need the smallest amount to make sure that top area is super flat. It's nothing more annoying than seeing somebody with a lumpy sew-in right at the top. It takes nothing but the first 4 braids being flat to save your sew-in. Back in the day, I used to braid all of my braids going directly down from the leave out, meaning these 2 braids that I'm about to do now were non-existent. All of my braids were like 5 times the size of the first 2, and all of them were going straight down. Now, the reason why I stopped braiding my foundations like that was because I started to see like a lot of breakage being pulled on at the root of the hair. Like you never want to pull on the root of someone's scalp whenever you're doing a sew-in. So the reason why these next 2 braids have been added into my foundation is to add more strength into the foundation. The first 4 braids are what I like to call anchor braids. Just like my personal page on Instagram, that's called my anchor account, where I anchor all of my businesses into that one account. So basically all of the braids that are going around her head will be anchored to these first 4 cornrows. The 3rd and 4th anchor braid do not connect at all. What you will do is crisscross them around the head. So my next braid, I'm going to take that 3rd braid and cross it across the 4th braid and go around the head. And I'm going to do the same thing with the 4th braid. I'm going to cross the 4th braid across the 3rd braid and go around the head. What you see me doing right here is leaving out a very small piece of her nape. And that's just so I'm not pulling on her neck. You know how sometimes you get an install or you get box braids done and you have like a week go by where you can't even bend your head down. This is simply just to bring her comfort. And also once her sew-in loosens up a little bit, she can do a low ponytail. Nothing more, nothing less. This is the fun part where you connect braids 1 and braid 4. You're going to take a small section once again around the nape of her head because this is still an outside braid and you still want it to be super flat. From there, you're going to unravel a little bit of braid 1 and a little bit of braid 4 and connect them both into one solid braid. Make sure it's small sections so the braid on the outside of the nape can still be tiny. And right there is where we will stop, because you want to take the time out to do the same exact thing to the opposite side. Now, once you get to the end of the opposite side where we are right now, you will then connect those two braids and form one braid all the way around to form your beehive. The same thing that we did for braids 1 and 4, we're going to do the same thing for braids 2 and 3. However, all together, we're going to be connecting braids 1, 2, and 3. Because remember, braids 1 and 4 all turned into 1. We are going to braid all the way around the head with that one braid for our beehive. So as you can see, I'm tilting her head and braiding all the way around. I'm going to continue to do that all the way until I'm done. The only thing you guys should be focused on at this point is matching the braid size. You do not want your braids to get too lumpy or not matching the next one. So you want each braid to get a little bit bigger than the last one that you completed, but you don't want them to become all over the place, because once you get to the middle, if a braid is being too pulled on, it can cause soreness in the middle if it's not evenly proportioned. And voila, y'all, there it is. This is how I obtain my very flat foundation for all of my sewing installs. All of the installs except for frontals and lace closures, but that'll be a whole nother video. If you guys would like one of those videos, leave a comment on what you want to see next. This video was just showing you guys how I do my foundation. My next video will show you guys how I do my stitch technique for the invisible sew-in, basically. Damn, I say basically a lot. Oh, God. But anyway, you guys, this last part that I'm going to show you all is just how I tuck that remaining braid inside the rest of the foundation. Normally, I would use a crochet needle. However, we are in quarantine and I don't have everything that I normally use. So I'm just going to use my needle and my thread to sew it down very flat inside one of the creases. You want to make sure everything is super flat. Don't give your clients any reason to come back, you know, complaining or saying you messed up their hair. Make sure everything is sewn down flat and nothing is too tight, especially in the middle. Now, the stitch technique is the real tea. That's the real way you figure out how to make these sew-ins look super natural and like it's growing from the scalp. But you're going to have to wait to my next video because I need that engagement. And I don't want this video to be 2 hours long trying to show y'all how to do an install. I think it's best that I break it up into pieces to let me know if y'all really want to see this information. Now, you can have a super flat sew-in, but the secret to these natural looking installs is all in the stitch work. So if you guys would like to see my stitch method that I use on most of my clients who ask me for these natural looking installs, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. The more love I receive, the more eager I am to put all of my hair secrets right here on the internet. While I'm letting this video marinate on YouTube, I will be filming my thrift video. So if you enjoy thrift hauls, styling videos, fashion tips, I've got all of that coming for you all.
Follow white rabbit. I'm taking potions, call me Alice. Watch me grow taller. Yeah, rabbit's watches in his pocket. Yeah, he stays late, but he leads me, so I follow.